The whole northbound lane of I-95 is completely covered in water, this spilling over from the Neuse and the Little River. Now, I want to give you guys an aerial view, so let's take a look at some footage we got right here. As our drone goes up, you can start to see the off-ramp of 95 North completely flooded with water. Hey folks, to give you some perspective, we're in a historic part of downtown Fayetteville. I'm right now on North Cool Spring Street, but it looks like a lake from where I'm standing. I'm only a couple of yards away from where the water reaches the road. We're getting a better look at the widespread damage we're seeing in eastern Tennessee. Take a look at this car right here. I mean, the fires have just completely destroyed it. All that remains is a charred skeleton. The fire's so hot that you can see they melted the front of the windshield here.
How are things looking where you are now?
I mean, you can feel the weight of all of this in the atmosphere around where I am. We're here at the Rocky Top Sports World, just within the Gatlinburg city limits. But this is really the base of operation here. More than 750 people are calling this home right now. I just want to show you just how bad this damage can be to give you some perspective. I'm about 5 foot 10 inches, but this tree right here, the roots are roughly 3 times my size standing tall. It is too often that we see a scene like this driving around town in Goldsboro and Wayne County. It's either a home, a business, or in this case, a community center, a church, just completely surrounded by water. And I want to give you a better perspective looking at our drone footage right here. This church is basically an island surrounded by water. It's a scene that makes your heart sink. But when faith leaders went inside, nothing short of a miracle. Pastor Alton A. Smith could only watch and pray his church was spared from the flood pouring through Goldsboro.
And yeah, it was an uneasy feeling because anytime the sheep have nowhere to come to worship, they scatter.
St. Mark Church of Christ surrounded by water on all sides, but when members got the courage to cross the water and check in, a remarkable scene. You can see from these photos the carpet dry, water and debris just kissing the brick in front of the church doors. Yes,
it is a miracle. We thank God for all of his many miracles. We preach about those in the scripture and we see the miracles that they perform, but we too can add our story to the bunch.
It looks so bad from the sky, catching Governor Pat McCrory's eye. He rushes to the scene to check the damage, relieved the storm didn't claim another place of worship in North Carolina.
So it's gone down from the high city mark right there.
Oh yes, it's gone down a lot.
And signs of hope. Water levels are dropping.
Thank you. Thank you for all you're doing. Bless you. Thank you.
Now more than ever, Pastor Smith says people need to come together and faith will heal this broken community.
Didn't say it would be easy, but he's going to bring us through. In spite of all we face, in spite of all we've been through, he's still going to see us through this. If he'll bring us to it, he'll take us through it.
Now, Pastor Smith tells me they can't hold their Sunday service in the church, so they're going to move that service across town and hold a victory rally followed by a lunch. Very suiting for the situation.
High alert in downtown Charlotte around Bank of America Stadium today for the Carolina Panthers game. This comes after multiple protests in the Queen City and the officer-involved shooting death of Keith Scott.
Alex, did you see any kind of protests today? What was going on out there?
Well, Danny, what we've seen today is what we've been seeing for the past couple of nights, a peaceful protest. And city leaders in Charlotte were anticipating some sort of protest of the Carolina Panthers game. That's why they labeled the event for what's called an extraordinary event. It basically gives police a little more resources, but also more authority to arrest people who are potentially breaking the law. But it really all went off smoothly as Carolina Panthers fans were greeted with a different type of roar. Singing along with the pregame band, a message that's been heard loud and clear in Charlotte for the past couple days, received by a bigger audience. He's got! He's got! He's got! Protesters linking arm in arm, surrounded by a wall of police outside of Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte for the Carolina Panthers game.
On Sunday, the Panthers game is like the biggest deal ever. And so we're here to say that like it's not this week.
Group organizers weren't satisfied with a CMPD release of body and dash camera footage of Scott shooting
Saturday, the group is demanding the full undoctored video.
Some of the other demands are demilitarizing the police.
Police say they've created an area for the protest that doesn't interfere with fans going into the game.
We're in for the long haul, so we'll stay here as long as they do.
Greensboro police also showing up Saturday to help facilitate.
Love, peace, and unity does not mean, it doesn't negate justice, accountability, and equity.
Meanwhile, Danny Cook and company were giving out hugs to everyone, myself included. No justice! Protesters took to the streets, spreading their message to the whole city, even taking time to thank officers guarding the way.
I love you for standing up for me. I love you for standing up for me.
Now, there was at least one man who was arrested in relation to the Panthers game. It's unclear if he was involved in the protest, but police found him with a gun in his backpack with a loaded magazine. There was also an increased presence of State Highway Patrol and CMPD officers on the on and off ramps of the highways, just absolutely making sure that protesters didn't march out on the interstate as they've been known to do in previous protest nights before.
And the game goes on a little more than 36 hours after a gunman opened fire on Republican members of Congress during baseball practice at a field in Alexandria, Virginia. Republicans and Democratic lawmakers come together in support of each other at tonight's big congressional baseball game.
Alex, what was the atmosphere like?
Oh, it was definitely a special atmosphere, a lot of special moments in today's game that you guys went over earlier. Everybody I talked to, a lot of enthusiastic fans who wanted to get into the stadium, they didn't want to miss those moments. And really this moment in American history where both sides decided to put aside their differences and try to move forward as one country past yesterday's tragedy. For a moment,
we are, again, a body of one. We are all Americans.
Politics didn't matter.
This is a game about freedom. You know, it's a lot of history here.
For one moment,
this is a moment to collectively come together for the good of America.
Republicans and Democrats brought to their knees in prayer with the nation watching.
It's a healthy thing. It's a therapeutic thing for us to be out here playing a little baseball.
Wearing his Aggie yellow, Congressman Walker trots into the stadium more than a day after he walked away from a practice where a shooter opened fire on his Republican teammates.
We're glad our colleagues are alive, and Steve Scalise, Matt Micah, these guys are still in our prayers, and because they're not out of the woods, they're still at the hospital.
He is still with us here tonight, even though he's not playing, but we're sort of playing for him.
Folks on both sides of the aisle reflecting on how a divided country moves forward.
We need to love one another, embrace one another, support one another.
It's got to take genuine relationships, and that comes with intentionality.
And not letting the fear of tragedy take away from the love of America's pastime.
If you allow folks like that to deter you from doing things, good things like this, I think it sends a message and only encourages more behavior like that.
An atrocity like yesterday is not going to stop what we do here today.
Fundraising and support skyrocketing for this game, raising more than $1 million for the Boys and Girls Club of Washington, D.C. and the Capitol Police Memorial Fund. A lot of fantastic moments during that game, especially when everybody got together for a moment of silence around second base, the position that Congressman Scalise was supposed to be playing here tonight. Now, Congressman Mark Walker was pitching for the Republicans. Didn't go so well for him tonight. The Republicans got clobbered by the Democrats 11-2. Neil, Katie, back to you.